Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra book. It has been very witty and entertaining. I hope you've enjoyed as well so far. Now go ahead and listen to this as you are exercising, stretching, watering your houseplants. Don't forget to do that. Any fun thing that is that you're doing. Let us begin. Are you pure air and solitude and bread and medicine for your friend? Now this makes you wonder, how are you to your friend? How is your energy? Are you like a breath of fresh air? Are you sustenance in a way that refreshes them? Gives you much to think about. Some cannot loosen their own chains and can nevertheless redeem their friends. Oh, burn. It's like you can't even take off your own chains. How are you going to help your friends? Are you a slave? Then you cannot be a friend. Ooh, look at that. It's like a slave to your own desires. You haven't had any self-mastery. You're not disciplined. Are you a tyrant? Then you cannot have friends. That's a good point. If you have a very tyrannical personality, you're not going to make much friends. So you have to have some leeway of knowing when to go down a peg and when to have some type of compromise and teamwork and what. Not just your way or the highway. All too long have a slave and a tyrant been concealed in a woman. Oops. Ow, that's weird. Therefore, woman is not yet capable of friendship. She knows only love. That's a very interesting thing to say. I mean, women are vicious to each other. That's why when I see some women who claim to have all these friends, I'm like, you have acquaintances. They're not really your friends. I'd say you have maybe less than 5. Taking selfies with someone and partying with them, that's not necessarily a friend. Woman's love involves injustice and blindness against everything that she does not love. Ooh, blindness to things she doesn't love. Would you look at that? And even in the knowing love of a woman, there are still assault and lightning and night alongside light. Woman is not yet capable of friendship. Women are still cats and birds, or at best cows. Dang, spicy. A cat and bird. Well, what I get from that example is cats are very independent. You can't command them. They're not like a dog, right? Cats are just fit to do their own thing. Birds, some of them will always be afraid of you, and they'll always want to go to the tallest tree. And some are more goofy and silly and docile because they want some food, right? But they're still going to peck you once in a while. And some are just mean no matter what you do, right? Think about how many people have eagles and whatnot. It's pretty extensive. All the personality traits. A cow, though, you get milk. Some of them are really kind. They'll follow you. You call them, they come, and obviously they have a lot of babies. A lot of calves. So, a cow ain't too bad of an example. Woman is not yet capable of friendship. But tell me, you men, who among you is capable of friendship? Alas, behold your poverty, you men, and the meanness of your souls. As much as you give the friend, I will give even my enemy. Look at that. So he's contending that how much you give your friend really ain't that much, because sometimes you give your enemy the same amount. And I shall not be any the poorer for it. There is comradeship. Let there be friendship. That's an interesting thing to think about. What's the difference between camaraderie and friendship? Thus spoke Zarathustra. Okay, now this section is titled On the 1,001 Goals. Zarathustra saw many lands and many peoples. Thus he discovered the good and evil of many peoples. And Zarathustra found no greater power on earth than good and evil. Ooh, power on earth of good and evil. No people could live without first esteeming, but if they want to preserve themselves, then they must not esteem as the neighbor esteems. Much that was good to one people was scorn and infamy to another. That's true. One culture will scorn something and it'll be infamous, and another culture will value that. Thus I found it, much I found called evil here, and decked out with purple honors there. Never did one neighbor understand the other, nor was his soul amazed at the neighbor's delusion and wickedness. So here you can kind of get at the nuances of your neighbors. In Islam, we're encouraged to be good neighbors ourselves, to treat our neighbors with kindness, really fostering the goal of a peaceful community. But here, obviously, he's getting at this deeper issue that some neighbors really can be bad and delusional, and you cannot see eye to eye with them. I mean, talk about intense. I think we've all had maybe bad neighbor experiences in our lives, or maybe we even were pesky neighbors. I'm definitely a better neighbor now, right? Praiseworthy is whatever seems difficult to a people. Hey, that's a good thing to say. Sometimes we just praise what's difficult. That's a good thing to say. Whatever seems indispensable and difficult is called good. Ooh, that's a good point there. If it's indispensable and difficult, it's considered good. Do you agree with them, or you don't agree with them? And whatever liberates, even out of the deepest need, the rarest, the most difficult, that they call holy. Whatever makes them rule and triumph and shine, to the awe and envy of their neighbors, that is to them the high, the first, the measure, the meaning of all things. Ooh. Very saucy. So, to rule and triumph and shine over your neighbors, to make your neighbors envious and within awe. Some people, he contends, that's their meaning, is just to make others envious of them, to make them in shock and awe, to shine, to be speckled in honors for their neighbor to see. Really getting at validation almost, in a way. Verily, my brother, once you have recognized the need in land and sky and neighbor of a people, you may also guess the law of their overcomings, and why they climb to their hope on this ladder. You shall always be the first, and excel all others. You shall always be the first and excel all others. Woo. Your jealous soul shall love no one, unless it be the friend that made the soul of the Greek quiver. Thus he walked the path of his greatness. Ooh, to make the Greek quiver. So kind of getting at the, like a Herculean figure, trembling in your boots. To speak the truth, and to handle bow and arrow well, that seemed both dear and difficult to the people who gave me my name, the name which is both dear and difficult to me. To honor father and mother, and to follow their will to the root of one's soul. This was the tablet of overcoming that another people hung over themselves, and became powerful and eternal thereby. So they became powerful and eternal by obeying their parents. In Islam, we are to respect our parents, to practice loyalty, and for the sake of loyalty to risk honor and blood even for evil and dangerous things. With this teaching, other people conquered themselves, and through this self-conquest they became pregnant and heavy with great hopes. So loyalty for the sake of loyalty, risking things to maintain those ties. Verily, men gave themselves all their good and evil. Verily, they did not take it. They did not find it, nor did it come to them as a voice from heaven. Only man placed values in things to preserve himself. Did you catch that? Only man placed value in things to preserve himself. Well, if it preserves you, I would say, of course you want it to have some value, and you're going to attach some value to that because it has a utility. He alone created a meaning for things, a human meaning. Therefore he calls himself man, which means the esteemer. So the esteemer, that is man. To esteem is to create. Hear this, you creators. Esteeming itself is of all esteemed things the most estimable treasure. Through esteeming alone is their value, and without esteeming, the nut of existence would be hollow. Hear this, you creators. Change of values. That is a change of creators. That's a good line there. The values of the society will produce a certain type of content creators, right? Because the values will be exemplified within those creators that you watch that are promoting the stuff that's in the sort of zeitgeist energy in the community. Whoever must be a creator always annihilates. First, peoples were creators, and only in later times individuals. Verily, the individual himself is still the most recent creation. Once peoples hung a tablet of the good over themselves. Love which would rule, and love which would obey, have together created such tablets. So, a tablet of good over themselves, to rule and love and obey. The delight in the herd. The delight in the herd. It's like to belong, the desire for community, the desire to fit in, to assimilate, to maintain the norm standard. The delight in the herd is more ancient than the delight in the ego. And as long as the good conscience is identified with the herd, only the bad conscience says I. Okay, that's a good point. So if you go along with the majority, you're praised as being part of the good. And if you look more at the individual level of the I, it's considered more of a bad type of consciousness. Verily, the clever ego, the loveless ego that desires its own profit in the profit of the many, that is not the origin of the herd, but its going under. Good and evil have always been created by lovers and creators. The fire of love glows in the names of all the virtues, and the fire of wrath. Yeah, the fire of wrath, and the fire of love. That's interesting. One sustains with warmth and the other turns to ash, right? Zarathustra saw many lands and many peoples. No greater power did Zarathustra find on earth than the works of the lovers. Good and evil are their names. Verily, a monster is the power of this praising and censuring. Tell me, who will conquer it? O brothers, tell me, who will throw a yoke over the 1,000 necks of this beast? 1,000 goals have there been so far, for there have been 1,000 peoples. Only the yoke for the 1,000 necks is still lacking. The one goal is lacking. Humanity still has no goal. Humanity as a whole, but different pockets have their goals. For us Muslims is to worship Allah. That's our goal. And to make it into paradise and spread Tawheed and maintain the religion. So when we're a unified body, that's our one goal. Whereas humanity as a whole, since it's not one philosophy, one religion, has a different type of agenda, so it causes more fracturing and strife, one could argue, in society, but there'll never be, I don't think, a one world goal, because there will always be factions, there will always be a splitting. But tell me, brothers, if humanity still lacks a goal, is humanity itself not still lacking too? Thus spoke Zarathustra. Wow. Very unique section. The fire of love, the fire of wrath. To esteem is to create. Change of values, that is change of creators. Loyalty, speaking the truth, honoring your father and mother. Praiseworthy is whatever seems difficult to a people. Whatever seems indispensable and difficult is called good. Woo! And then the other line here, much that was good to one people was scorn and infamy to another. How the times do change. Time definitely can rehash and bury certain ideals and principles. Very unique section there for us on 1001 goals. And then he ended that section with that humanity still lacks a goal, and humanity is lacking itself. Woo! Full circle there for us. What do you think? By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. I post a lot of interesting things on there, supports the channel, and I'll see you next time.